I'm always open to give my thoughts on VR, though I would
Hmm.
like to say, just I am speaking only in my capacity as an individual with
Okay.
opinions, right, rather than any kind of official
Yes.
sort of capacity, shall we say?
Yes. So
Yeah.
what's your background? Or
So
what
what
what do
I
you what do you do which gives you a reason to talk on this subject?
Well, all right, good question. So what I do is I work right now in at Meta in the in home, right? So if you have a Meta Quest headset and you put it on, I'm involved with that. So
That's
I
awesome.
have sides and teams.
Hmm.
But I got to tell you, I'm very excited about this Apple headset. It looks actually quite fantastic, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
excited about the hardware. I don't quite know too much about the R1. Um,
Which is a new mystery chip almost, right? It's like we have the
yeah,
M2 and now we have this R1 and
right. Well,
tomorrow
when you
we will
start
have.
fabbing your own silicon, right, like everything's get kind of fancy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true. Hmm.
right, I saw something on Twitter today that said the whole pipeline is about 12 milliseconds, right? So that thing is running at about 90
Wow.
hertz, right?
Wow.
I
And
don't
it's
know if
all
that was
in
an
in a
authoritative source. Yeah, go ahead.
and it's all in a little goggle space too, which is
Correct.
incredible.
So, again, as far as I can tell, just from the video that you showed as well,
Hmm.
it looks like it's they called it an AR headset, right? But it's not an AR headset in the canonical sense of what we would consider an AR headset, like
Mm.
presumably HoloLens or Google Glass, right? What it looks like is a VR headset with a strong emphasis on pass through.
Oh,
Right. So you
yeah.
have I guess there's like right from what they showed, there was a display on the outside where they can kind of
Yes.
show your eyes, which is like really interesting, right?
Hmm.
I think that's like extremely cool. And they
It just
have,
gives you that interaction too, right? You're not just looking at like a solid plastic piece or a sticker you're going to put on the front of it. It's kind of like you can see the people's eyes.
I mean, I think,
You think there's more to it than just that for Apple?
well, no, I mean, like, consulting with my spiritual self, right? I think that when you have a VR experience, right? You have a phone taped to your face,
Yes,
right? And you're sitting somewhere
basically.
and
Hmm.
you're isolated from the world. And I think that's really interesting. And honestly, like it's sort of what this space needs
Mm.
is to kind of drive like how do we bring your entire room back into that phone taped to your face, right?
Mm.
And so I think that like you know having not seen one or seen anything but the
Or whole
public
day, or
materials,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I think it's extremely cool emphasis, right? That what they're trying to do is like, it's a hard thing to do, which is to
Mm.
like right, I recall you guys were describing like having this thing on your face and taking a photo, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering like, I never really got the impression that that was the thing you would take photos with, right?
Mm.
I thought you would take photos with your iPhone, right? So if you have your
Mm.
hands and you have the iPhone, like to me, it'd be super
Oh.
cool if your iPhone's up here and then they stream the screen into the
Oh,
headset, right?
yeah.
So you
That's
have
really cool.
your iPhone, but maybe you could zoom in on the iPhone screen,
Mm.
right? So I would think that the iPhone they've already solved, right? They have a super cool camera on there, right? You want to view it, right? This is like a sort of a theater
Mm.
for yourself, right? But they want you to be connected to the room in which you are in, which is sort of the source of the power of VR.
Yeah. And I guess that's what's lacking, right? It's that being connected to another human. And they were even showing, even through the FaceTime, of the 3D scan of the face. So it's more of a human like character you're talking to than just like a cartoon amiibo figure of yourself, too. So they're trying to bring in that realistic tangibleness to the VR space, I'm guessing, even with getting rid of the remotes and the controllers. It's all with hands and stuff. So you're more, I mean, technically you are hands free. Um, but man, it's scary getting something that doesn't have a button, right? You're fully relying on hands.
I thought that was super cool. I think the most innovative thing that I saw that I think is the right, probably the most right of the things that they showed. I felt that this itself in sort of the design language of how we put software together and sort of like quote unquote what is successful VR software
Mm,
um, is the fact that the eyes map to where your pointer is, right? Sort of your mouse
right.
in VR,
Yeah.
right? That
Hmm.
is really neat. So you just like you're looking at something and you just like sort of absentmindedly click your fingers, right? That's sort of not a pattern I've seen people explore before. I'm
Hmm.
sure there are people who've prototyped it, right? You know, but in like a to have a company like Apple kind of choosing that, I think is extremely interesting. Um, the the controllers, like I believe they showed a like a PS5 controller or something
Oh,
right similar, like for games and things like that.
mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a very interesting take that they're going with.
Mm,
I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I think we're gonna really have to see it, right?
yeah.
To see
It,
if it works, right? Like, I mean, like I believe, right? I believe, right? It looks like a
yeah.
very polished product, um, and it has a lot of compute on it. So I'm really excited to
It's
see kind of what they're gonna do with that, right?
yeah.
And
It's beefy. It's a beefy machine.
it is no joke.
I
Um,
mean, it's basically having one of their MacBooks
uh-huh.
computers on your
Taped to your
face.
face, yeah, with an
Yeah,
incredible display is what it looks like, right?
yeah. The pixels were looked incredible in the examples. Obviously, we
Like
haven't.
64 pixels per pixel of the iPhone, or right? It's
It's just
incredible.
insane the resolution that it's going to have. I'm also very curious. One thing, obviously, you heard us talking about earlier on the live stream was the battery life, and
Yeah.
I'm almost amazed that they got 2 hours of battery from a high powered system like because that thing's going to be juicing up the battery. Like, or it's going to be milking it, not juicing it up. It's going to be milking out the battery. So I don't know if this is going to be mainly used for sitting down on a couch, or like it's being around the home, but you need to charge, or maybe they'll have extra battery packs you can carry around with you. I guess maybe at that point.
I think I mean, how many people I recall, like, in the early 2000s having like the mini disc Sony Walkman, right? And I had like some sort
Yeah,
of like headphones that were threaded through like my super cool jacket at the time. I'm like, yes, right. So I mean, I'm happy people are bringing it back, right?
yeah.
I think about 2 hours for an intense, like let's imagine any kind of workload that is computationally expensive, right? It kind of
Mm,
depends on what you do, right?
yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, for instance, you could probably make that 2 hours. Just hypothetically speaking, I actually hadn't thought about this is right off the hip, but I mean, if you just open enough Chrome tabs, right, I'm sure that
Mm,
that 2 hours can be made an hour and 90 minutes, say.
yeah, it
Um,
can really drain
so
the battery.
so yeah, right, right, as a just sort of a interested participant, like I would be very excited if they got 2 hours out of a compute stack
Mm,
like that. That would be very cool, right?
yeah,
Especially if you have a wire too, and you're on your couch. If you could plug it in, right, and you could
yeah.
just charge it while you're playing, and it can say
That would
charge
be
at 100 watts or something like that.
yeah.
That'd be really cool.
I mean, those new Apple chargers charge pretty fast too with the USB Cs.
Certainly.
So I mean, it shouldn't be like like you have to wait hours for it to recharge. It should be like hopefully like an hour turnaround max to get your system up and running. This is all theorizing though. We
Of
have
course,
not
yes. We're just
seen,
talking. We're just
we
like
have
thinking
not.
about right some
This
video.
is
Yes,
just goals, things we want to hit, and it's also very interesting too how right now it's just using the Mac OS systems and apps, and obviously they're letting it. It's going to come out in a year, and I think now's the time for apps and other third party people to start creating apps for the headset. I wonder if that's.
I
I know there's
saw. Go ahead. Go ahead, please. I'm
no
sorry.
you. Well, I was just gonna say that has to be like there has to be a vetting process. I think for the first gen of something for an app just to make it work right. Right? It's just oh my gosh.
I mean, it's always sort of exploratory, right? You receive new hardware, you get like new
Yeah.
software, like things do and don't work, right? You have to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like learn the hard lessons, right? Of like what the sort of what the space is, I guess the stack is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I saw today, right, on Twitter, right, of course, right, from again a non authoritative source that Apple is producing a Proton-like layer for their games, right? I saw a picture that looked like a slide that showed like a Windows game, and they have like an emulation layer, and then we have like iOS or like the Apple Silicon at the bottom,
Wow.
which would be really neat, right? If we
Yeah.
can get a Proton-like layer for Apple, I think that would be
That
extremely
would be really cool.
beneficial for them. Yeah, if they could just run the same stuff and
Totally
virtualize the
sick.
instructions, right, and have the like just implement everything, and right, you can run like the new Star Wars game, like right natively on their hardware.
That would
You
be
know,
incredible.
it
And
would be awesome.
what's cool too, now that Apple's doing this, we're probably going to see new media being designed for the headsets too, because we have Apple TV or Apple TV Plus. So now they already have a production company for streaming shows. Why not create a production company where the shows are catered towards the new headset? So maybe you get different perspectives and views. I mean, they have the money for it. If anyone's going to be able to do it, I think Apple would, because they have that TV show production stuff already rolling. Where
I think that is really one of their benefits that they're pushing towards this, which is like just so cool to hear, right, and to see, is that they have a really good sense of an end-to-end product. Right, like everyone trusts Apple to like all the things work together, like they're frictionless, like they're very polished, like they're fast, they give battery life, right? And so I'm really excited to see them kind of bring like VR, or rather as they say AR, right? But it's AR, with pass through, or VR plus pass through into this space, right? I wonder if they would target that media, right? Like because if you think about it, $3,500 is
that's
pricey, right? So if you're going to be spending a bunch of money like making some fancy video, right, that's only available in 360 degrees, it's not available on any other of your platforms, right? So I'll bet you would, my sense is that they would make just just take that presentation, like a theater presentation. They showed that a lot, like, and make that very polished. Because with that display, right, they have like, right, when you said there was 4K per eye, I think it's more than 4K per eye is what they were saying,
probably, or something like that.
Well, we can go look at the specs, right?
Okay, yeah, we're just I know we should have.
Goodness, who knows anymore, right? With these numbers.
Yeah, and then one other reviewer that I was watching that was reviewing it too. I forgot which one it was, but they mentioned like even in the future the possibility of being at a sports game and having a front row seat at a fraction of the price. So if you can pay $12 and you get front row seats, where you can like look around and they have cameras set up in the arenas or in the stadiums.
You can like hop between them to watch like the game. Yeah.
How cool would that be? Like, then again, like you can, and cameras are getting great now with the 8K cameras. Like they can really spice it up with high quality cameras and stuff. And you can feel like you're there, and maybe even have the option to do like a zoom in or a scale in if you want to even get closer showed that. And stuff like that.
They kind of showed that. If I recall, there was a panel, and like I remember they showed kind of an element on the corner, and like the panel got larger, and they talked about the panel coming, from the near
with
field.
The movies, right? Yeah, because they were talking about like, do you want it like super big or you want to watch it small, like right and put it off to the corner? Like you can have it off to the side while you're doing stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited for Apple too, because I feel like Apple's been lacking with like progressing with their laptops. It just kind of felt like they kind of hit this rut where they were just like, oh, we're maxing out this, and it was like, okay, the
touch bar, they removed the touch bar, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, what is Apple going to do now? Because Apple's definitely known for what they've done. Like you have the iPhone, the iPad, and the MacBook Pro. It's an incredible laptop. It does such a good job for what you need to do for graphic designers. Obviously, gaming, you need a gaming setup for like if you want to play games, but for everyday use, it's incredible. Even to the fact I'm a 3D animator and I do stuff like that. Being able to use Maya and 3ds Max now on Mac, you don't have to do a boot camp to get it and all that stuff.
Have you tried Blender on
Blender? Yeah, Blender works well, and also Cinema 4D works well, and then now Cinema 4D works really well with After Effects. So, but Apple has
you got to bring it. Like everything should be running everywhere, and it should be like native, and it should run perfectly. Right, it should be the same product, right? Many times we get like something that's like like Office for Mac, right? It's a completely different product, and it's not as cool, right? Like I'm really excited to see, like these native, like kind of like with this and this price point with this display, it looks like, there's hopefully a promise that like we can bring these like our super compute intense tasks onto that hardware that's sitting on your face, right? Right, and then they have the display, right, and hopefully you can connect with people around you, right? It's very, very exciting, right?
It's super exciting. I'm super stoked for it. I can't wait to see in a year from now even what they'll add to it, because this is still prototypes, and you never, after people start messing with it too, we need to fix this, do this, add another camera here, because when you're scratching your head, it's picking up a weird feed. Who knows? I don't know what issues you're gonna run into, but you have to do all the R&D tests to make sure it runs smoothly. So I am super stoked for this. I'm also stoked too because hopefully this will push other people to progress their headsets. And like obviously you work for Meta, so now it's like
Mhm.
that's what they're doing. What can we do now to enhance ours, maybe at a better price point in this? And it becomes like a friendly way to push technology forward.
My position is that all ships rise with the tide,
Yeah.
right? I like SpaceX, but I also root for Blue Origin. I want to see
Mm-hmm.
their new engines, right? I want to see like the new Glenn happen.
Yeah.
There's the Jarvis project. So I mean, I think that what Apple has said is that they see, or just speculating, right, that they see a space here, right, and
Yeah.
then they're willing to kind of target this with like this really interesting, innovative
Mm-hmm.
hardware.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be great for everybody, right?
Yeah.
um you know most there's like many VR spaces. We have the people that are untethered, that are mobile, which are running on the hardware on the headset itself,
Yes.
which is just on the battery, right? You have the people that have it, you have a PC that's plugged into the wall and they're
Mm-hmm.
streaming it, right? There's some people that have the untethered streaming from the PC, so you're on
Yeah.
battery and you're streaming it over Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it looks like they've brought almost like that like very powerful computer into the device, right? Which has been
Mm-hmm.
you know sort of the question, like, can you take your gaming PC and like spend a bunch of money and then just like, can I tape it to my face, right? And like, can I be elsewhere? And
Yeah.
then, but can I still be here, right? And that's sort of the I think the magic of VR, right, is
It's
that you're here in your space, right? And like,
exactly.
right.
And it's funny. I don't own a TV. I have no need for a TV. I have a computer screen, and I have like a 20-inch computer monitor
Okay.
screen, for my computer stuff. But this sounds very, because I don't like the how TVs take up space and stuff. But this is great. I can put it on. I can watch TV. I can make it whatever size I want. I can have a high quality TV and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And I don't have. I mean, obviously, it's what $1,000, maybe $2,000 for the most high end TVs. And if you compare this to a high end TV, I
About
don't know
five
if we
thousand dollars
can.
right now for the
Yeah.
largest like C3, the LG C3. I was just
Oh, it's
looking.
yeah, yeah.
Very expensive, yeah.
So like if you don't have a TV but if you're really into
Hmm.
movies and you want to upgrade from your phone or your laptop or wherever you've been watching or streaming shows and stuff like that, this might be good. You can put it in the shelf or just it can go anywhere in the house. It's not taking up blank space all the time and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And yeah, this might be a good option for that. So
I think that when they talk about spatial compute, I think that's what they mean, right? Is that like, they want to connect you, like again, like the promise of VR is that it's connected to the sensors that are in your head, right? Like you
yeah,
get the information from the sensors in your ears about like
yeah,
gravity, and right, you have like
hmm,
motion and a bunch of other things. And so it seems that they are, really sort of not trying to isolate you, to
mm,
like sort of maximize some, like they're not trying to teleport you to another world that's like completely
yeah,
um you know consumes your entire attention, right? Like it looks like they want this seamless sort of experience where you kind of flow between like these two states, and like
yeah.
I think it's really neat.
Yeah, you have
you
the
know
option. I think there's even a dial
the
on the
dial,
side
yes.
too, right? Where
Hmm.
you can say you want
Hmm.
more immersive or
Hmm.
less immersive too. So
Hmm.
they definitely thought of it. Congrats on them. This is an awesome project. Hopefully
Indeed.
this will inspire more, and it's great to see something like this and not like a flop. I would hate
Indeed.
or like
Right, yeah.
or I'm not saying it was a flop, but like for example when Elon Musk revealed the truck. And he's like,
Oh
these
yes,
you're
Cybertruck,
like
yes.
bulletproof glass, and he shatters the glass on the first window. He's like, hold on,
It breaks, yeah.
let me try the second window, and it shatters again. You're like, dude, cut the
No,
stream,
right.
cut the stream, But
I,
but it happens, and it's all part of progress. You have to make those mistakes and stuff like that. But
I mean, I think the thing is that, or what I was thinking when you were mentioning that, is that like I don't, again, right, I don't use I'm primarily in the Windows space, right? So I sort of like to have like like peanut gallery opinions about Apple.
mm,
But they've done incredible stuff recently, and I think I don't, my impression of the reception of this was not like it was the touch bar on the MacBook, right?
yeah,
It's like, okay, this makes sense, right? As opposed to touch bar, right? The touch bar was everyone, I'm sure people love it, right? And it's amazing, and it has a lot of uses. But at least where I was, people were like, "What is this?" Right? Why are you removing the escape key? What's going on with the F1
yeah,
keys, like the function keys? Right? You're taking something that's been around for since we invented keyboards, with Doug Engelbart, right, in 1968, and presumably, right, I guess I don't know exactly when
mm,
the F keys appeared, but they're like, okay, it's not really reinventing anything, right? Like, but with this headset, it looks like they're really, they put a lot of thought into it. It looks like an
Yeah.
incredible piece of hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll be great for VR.
Yes, I
So
totally agree. I'm super excited. I have a Mac phone. I have a MacBook. And if I can airdrop things to all the different things, as it is, I'm a biggest
yes,
fan of airdrop.
right.
Airdrop's
Yeah,
the best thing ever.
I don't
Since
have
I can,
access to it. I yearn for something like that, right?
it's so convenient. Like you can just airdrop video files and phone. Like it's so. And I do a lot of video work too and stuff and photography. So it's great to be able to edit, airdrop it over to the person. These larger files that you can't text over, but you can airdrop them over and stuff. And it's
You
just
know,
such a cool little simple feature that just it reestablishes why I love Apple.
like integrated, right? When you own the whole stack, right? Like you can do incredible things, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend today, and not to extend the conversation too long, but
No, you're good.
he was describing that the Apple Pen was really, really, important to him, and that like airdropping brushes to friends, right? He has a bunch of tattoo artist friends, and like sending brushes between friends, like as you're in a room, like that is like, I mean, I think that's the point, right? Is that you want to, instead of like going elsewhere, you want to be connected, right? And if
Yeah.
being connected is to go to another place, right? We do this all the time, like World of Warcraft, or
Hmm.
any number of activities. But
Yeah.
the point is, like, VR brings it like to like where you are, like you don't have to set up a complicated desk, you don't have to have like the monitor, all the cables, and all these different
Yep.
things. It is like a thing you can put in your backpack, you can take it out, and like you can have like the idea that you can have, like, if your MacBook is there, like maybe like plugged in, and you can stream it, and it's still operating. Like, I
That's
mean, that
true.
just sounds incredible.
Yeah, it does, and I can definitely see a use for this because I travel a lot on planes for work.
Hmm.
I'm like, dude, being able to just get away from the space completely, like
Hmm.
I'll be like, oh, cool, the new movie's here, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm like trying to plug my headphones
Yep.
in, and I'm watching
Yep.
on this tiny little screen. The person's seat keeps coming back.
Right.
My drink splashes. I'm like, how cool would it be? I don't have to worry about the tray table, all that.
Anything, right?
I can just be fully immersed. So
I mean, I think that's the promise of VR, right? Is that like at some point, some number of people who have computers will just replace their monitors with a
VR.
headset, right?
I mean, they had multiple windows open.
Hmm.
Which was incredible. Like, okay, I have a pop up here. I'm doing emails here, and it's just
Hmm.
like it's just basically having three monitors in front of you at that point,
Hmm.
and super exciting. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for sharing your
Thank you
knowledge
so
and
much
your
for
wisdom.
inviting,
Oh,
right?
anytime. We had
Really
some
appreciate
great. Yeah, we've also talked off stream quite a bit too, and we had a lot of fun. And I just love you and Kyle's work experience, and not work experience, but you're. I can't. Well, I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to
Of
reveal
course,
anything.
right?
Yet.
Of course, right?
But
That'll be for
hopefully
a
in the
future episode.
future, yeah, hopefully in the future we can get some insight on your guys' special hidden project.
Certainly so, right? Certainly so. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was
Yes,
such a
very.
interesting experience. Just to click a button and here we are. And so,
Yeah, it's really cool streaming service too. So it's really fancy, and you
well,
are
thank you for
live.
making this space. And as a final like kind of circle back, right? You were kind of moving the I think your presentation setup right here
Hmm.
for like the right. We have
Yeah,
this nice like camera that's set side by side. Right, and mentioned something about the transitions. They were working out very well, like as a viewer, right? I was walking my dogs, and I was like had you on the phone on speaker, and like, my wife and I were walking the dogs, and we were watching these
awesome.
things happen. It worked out very well. So
Yeah,
again, thank you so much. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
So bottom line, technology is amazing.
Indeed, right? Like thank goodness that we have like
Yeah,
Chromecast, and we have like all of this wonderful stuff. So
yeah. People always say it's back in my day was better. I don't know. We have it pretty great now with technology. So
I think that this like great therapy and displays are
Mhm.
really what puts us solidly into a better time frame for humans.
Yeah.
We really seem to dig those things.
Mm,
So
yes. Well, thank you so much,
thank
sir.
you.
I'll
All right,
close out this stream, but thank you for coming in. That was awesome.
all right. Good night, and remain beautiful. All right.
Oh, I will.
All right. I'll talk to you
Take
soon.
care.